think it's working now. Last time I put my cam up here, I think I'm gonna leave it there, but you're probably gonna see the top of my head a lot because my mirror is like right here, and I'm not able to see that far away. So like this is like a foot away, and I can't see my own face. Also, kind of unrelated, but kind of related. I'm obsessed with these. They're like the Sally Hansen Insta-Dry, but they have a new like line called Hollow Glow, and I have 2 of them. I should have got the gray one this last time I was there, but I didn't. That's the Prismatics line because I need to make sure that I get as many of these as I can because they're really good. It's what I have on now. These are my natural nails. They're pretty long. I need to cut them, but they have been the same nail polish for like 2 weeks now, and it just started to chip on like my fingers. I type a lot and I do a lot of random stuff at work, so I'm surprised it's lasted this long. So I'm excited about that. But I just wanted to say it, and I'm gonna try to do this like jasmine bean look, of course, because I'm obsessed with that aesthetic of makeup. But I think I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more red instead. Usually a lot of jasmine bean stuff is more pink, but I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more red to go with my Jason outfit because it's Friday the 13th. I didn't get to dress up at work today because I just was having a time of it. This morning I didn't really want to get up and do stuff, and so I wound up not really doing anything important, but I meant to, but I woke up and I just couldn't. So, oops. So I'm gonna do it now, and hopefully it turns out okay. Who knows if it does or not? Not me. Sharing my live really fast with people that sometimes jump on. Hopefully I send it to the right people, because I usually hit wrong buttons. One of these days I'm gonna send it to like people that are like somewhere far away. I've thought about doing it, but then I'm too shy. Like I'm like, they're gonna be like, I don't care about that. But every so often I want to be like, hey, I saw that you were on, and I feel like talking. But anyway, I'll just make a story. They can't see my face on my story anyway because I covered my face with this. But anyway. Okay, I just have to psych myself up and do this makeup. So the big thing with a lot of Jasmine Bean makeup is not too white of a base. So I'm going to use my regular base because it's not too white. And I tend to use like these tinted hydrator. And it's just a very medium sheer coverage that just kind of lightens my skin. I actually like my skin okay. I don't have a problem with the skin that I have. I have pretty decent skin. I should have probably pinned my hair back more. But my hair is just not, or my face is just not quite as pale as I would like it to be. But I think last time I'd used this one, but I think this blurred NYX one might be going bad. It's in pale, and I feel like it was starting to separate. Maybe I'll use it because I think it is paler. It is paler, so I'm actually going to use the blur. But it was separating, so I have a powder that's in ivory that I'm going to put on top. This is a really old powder that I used to use in like college, so it's like 10 years old probably. But I'm going to use it anyway because I don't want to waste it, and this isn't for like real life. And I just use it to use it. I usually put my stuff on top of my hand. And this last couple of times I've been just wiping it directly on my face, which I'm going to do again a little bit, and then I'll pat it out because I am bad. I do a lot of my makeup with my hands instead of with brushes and all that kind of stuff, just because part of it is because I can't see very well. And when I'm using my fingers, I feel like I can control it a little better because I can't see super great. I'm going to leave my brows. Jasmine Bean doesn't have eyebrows in this aesthetic. Their aesthetic has changed a little bit. They don't tend to do as much of that look anymore. But when they did it more, they tended to not have eyebrows. I think they have really small ones now. But back then, this was like when they were doing like Worldwide Torture, I think is what it was called. They tended to have very tiny little eyebrows. Okay, my face should look quite a bit paler now, hopefully. And I'm going to try to blend a little bit to my neck. I might go back and contour a little bit. I want to really get good at contouring. Okay, I'm going to just kind of pad this out a little bit. I never got rid of my brows. I said I was going to a couple different times, and I honestly always chicken out because it's just kind of, I don't know. I have this light on. Maybe I'll turn it off. Maybe I won't. I don't have, again, this is like my other desk, so I don't have like the best lighting at this desk. So I can put the light directly on my face. This is like a regular lamp. That's why it's like super strong. I don't have my, I have a lamp. I have a light. I just don't have it set up. Getting the makeup around my nose ring is something I'm still getting used to. I almost decided to bleach my eyebrows the last time I got my hair done, but I changed my mind. Maybe I should have. I don't know. My lips are going to wind up being black, so it doesn't super matter. And I need to make sure I blend it out in my hair a little bit. I only have like 30 minutes-ish to do this, so I'm going to try to be fast. It doesn't look too bad. I forgot to bring my wipes like I usually have. I don't think I have any left over here. Let me run away and grab some. Sorry. I usually keep like wipes or something to clean off my hands and brushes and stuff if I need it, but I just forgot. So I'm gonna put those to the side. Okay, so my face is pretty pale now, so I think it's not too bad. Now, let's see. In the picture, they have more. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, the video of the picture, but they have like pretty set shape around their eyes, and then around their mouth and their nose is more jagged, and then it looks like they have like red. Well, I'm gonna do red. Theirs is pink, and then like pink around the edges. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I've also seen, and I've done before, where I contoured with pink. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that, and then I'm gonna have this set what I want to draw, which I'm trying to decide if I want to draw it first with the black and then go back over with the red so I can know where I want it to hit, which is I think what I'm going to do. Trying to look for the right tool. I'm gonna actually just use like a really small, like skinny thin brush that's kind of hard, and draw it with just eyeshadow. That's the word, is eyeshadow. And then I'm going to fill it all in darker. Normally I'd probably use like a face paint, so it's really dark, but I think I'm just gonna try to use the eyeshadow and the liner that I'm trying to use up. And theirs is pretty set. Everybody does such a good job making it look kind of random, but also like not random. And I'm trying to decide now if I want to put the spikes above and then below and just make my eyes like super huge and just color all this in black up to my brows, or because technically theirs would be like right on the brow bone, or if I want it to just stick out over my brows. I could have technically tried to make my brows lighter, and part of me is still kind of considering, but my brows are so dark that's very hard to do. So I think I'm just gonna not do that, and I'm just gonna go over the brow as much as I can. So I want to make quite a few spikes. Not close enough. And then I'll just go back over. And I'm probably going to wind up hating this. This is what happened like one of the last times I did it. I feel like I just did not like how it turned out. The very last one I did I thought turned out really good. And I got a lot of compliments for it when I posted it. But I know sometimes it's just so hard because I can't see. It's very hard. But I've seen blind people do makeup, and it looked awesome, so I'm gonna just stop trying to. It's probably fine. I know the makeup's supposed to be messy, but I kind of like having an idea on what I'm doing, and I usually don't. Like right now, I don't know if I enjoy how it's looking so far, so at least if I've only done one eye, I can always take it off. See, I think it's the brow that's messing it up. So I'm trying to decide, because I can change it now. I can wipe that part of my eye off and just re-put it on there. But since my brow is here, I just can't decide. Maybe I'll just pack it all in and just make all of this black to my brow. So then I can make all of this black, and then it won't look like I have eyebrows. Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? It's just makeup. So I'm gonna just pretend this is all. I'm gonna switch to a bigger brush for this. If I had like a cream thing, I would use it. I'm using this ColourPop palette, by the way. And I'm just going to not do a good job coloring this in, because I'm just trying to see what it's gonna be. Up to here, and then under, and then I'll have to darken it up later. And I kind of want to give it a shape though, because it's kind of getting a shape. Usually I do a lot of my eyeliner and stuff with my fingers, so I might go into doing that here in a second. Sculpt that part a little bit more. It's very, very panda. And then I have to make these even bigger. See, I don't know if I like it. You know how that is? Like it almost is looking like eyelashes instead. Which is kind of a look, but I don't know if I like it. I think I'm going to just wipe it, and then I'm going to try a different thing. I think this won't work because of my eyebrows. So you're going to see my natural skin come through. Hopefully this comes off okay, because I don't have my makeup wipes. These are just regular baby wipes. But I only put eyeshadow on, so it should come off. I think one thing I like about makeup is that it's kind of like just drawing on yourself. So it's kind of fun to just try something, and then if you don't like it, to just wipe it off. It's far less stressful when you don't have like a time limit like I do, but that's just the way that it is for me. So, you know, it is what it is. So my face is a little wet now, so I'm gonna just give it another go. I just don't have a ton of time, so this is my last shot. And if I blow it, I blow it. And now that brow, I think, wanted to hold on to that color. Okay. We are going to try a similar thing, but with different eyes. So I'm gonna just go a little bit more random and do our best. I like using red a lot I use it a lot for like work stuff. Like I just think red just looks kind of good on me. So I use red eyeshadow a lot. So we're just gonna go with almost a more natural thing, and then we're gonna add unnaturalness to it. And then I'm still gonna probably wind up doing the nose and the face part because I just like the way that looks. Hi, I just messed up, so I wiped my eye, and I'm gonna try to do it again. I don't know if you saw that. I was going to do a Jasmine Bean inspired look, but I don't like how it turned out. So I'm still going to, but I'm gonna change the way that I was going to do it. And we'll just see what happens. Hopefully it'll be okay. And I'm probably gonna try, I couldn't decide if I wanted to contour with red and just see what it looked like, because that would be kind of cool, or if I want to just go ahead and like contour like a normal person. I think I got some black on my nose, but I kind of want to look like a clown because that's like kind of something that I enjoy. So I'm thinking I should almost contour with like a weird color. And worst case scenario, I just don't like the look and then I just don't post pictures of it, which is what I'm probably going to do. So let's go for it. I should be able to, I can't lighten my brows because like I said earlier, my brows are like super freaking dark. And I'm going to try to just go to my nose. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm making this up. I did one time do a look and I had contoured with pink. So I think I'm kind of thinking about that. But it's fine. It's also like kind of dark in here. I thought about doing a Jason look. I'm wearing my Jason shirt right now. And so I'm kind of just going red and black. Because I don't want to do, I don't know. I don't like doing those looks where it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Where they like just draw little like blood drops and stuff. I guess I'm too weird. And I did not clean my brush well enough. So I think it's like, because I'm using the same brush that I used for the black. And I clearly did not get off enough of the black because it's still looking pretty black. Let's just wipe it all on my hand. So my nose is coming out like dark. Beep, 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 beep. Just wipe it off a little bit. It'll be fine. And I should just be using my fingers like I do in real life. Because in real life, I just use my fingers for everything. But I want to just look kind of like a clown. I'm just using this one. I just like clown makeup. I don't know. Jason is my favorite like horror movie villain. I liked him a lot when I was a kid. I remember my mom showing me the movie the first time, like the original movie. And I like just loved the character design so much that I was like obsessed, which of course, if you've seen the first one, it's kind of a bummer at the end if you really wanted to see Jason. I think I kind of made that look a little bit more clownish. But I like just really, really was obsessed with Jason and wanting to see what Jason looked like, and I just felt bad for the character too because I got bullied a lot too. So like, I don't know, and a lot of those horror movie villains, like sometimes I start to feel a little bad for them because I kind of understand their situation, but then I'm like, well, I never became a horror movie villain, so they shouldn't either. But you know, which is my favorite movie? I'm really partial to the first one, even though he's technically kind of not in it. But I think that that's just because, and that's the original one, like the old one, not the there was a remake or whatever. That one's still fine, but like the original one's just special to me because it reminds me of my mom. And like when I got older, I remember she went through and she was trying to like get me caught up to speed and watching all of the old horror movies. Like I remember her making us, me and my sister, watch The Birds too. And she's like, this movie was terrifying when I was a kid. And I remember my sister and I laughing through it. So The Birds is also kind of special to me, but I think it's just because of my mom. Part 4. Okay, I also like which is the one where Jason like technically dies at the beginning, but then he like body jumps and like he's like possessing people. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Is that Jason 10X? Is that X? I don't know. There's been a lot of them. I will say my least favorite horror movie villain is Freddy. I have an absolute hatred of Freddy. I don't know what it is about him. I'm also not a fan, despite being a clown, of Pennywise. I don't know. He just seems kind of, I don't know. Maybe he's just overplayed, so I just don't like him. I'm not sure. I'm not flipping anybody off if you see me doing that. I just like using my finger. Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. That one was funny. Jason Goes to Space in one too, right? I think there's one that's called Jason Goes to Space. I'm using 2 different shades of red from this palette. No, I don't support Jeffree Star, but these were gifted to me because I was throwing them away. And I'm using like these 2 colors. Cherry Soda and Fresh Meat, which is appropriate. The Halloween movies were okay. I remember my mom having us watch the Halloween movies, and I was kind of like, they're fine. They're not like super special. And I remember, I'm kind of just using this red to contour. I remember, what was the other movie she had us watch? She was making us watch a lot of classics because she also had made us watch like The Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink and all those movies. And I remember I told her to never do that to me again because I did not like those movies at all. They just, I don't know. It's just not my type of movie, I suppose. Trying to get it so I look a little bit corpsey, but also it's red, like a regular contour. And I'll contour my chin a little. I have a pretty pronounced chin and jawline, which I've heard both good and bad things about from people. I've always been told I have more of a tomboyish build, but because I am chronically ill, I can't really exercise as much as I should to make it look really cool. Apparently. I had one lady when I was in high school that used to do our costumes for the play, and she like loved how broad my shoulders were. Because I usually have to size up in clothes because my shoulders are broader than my rest of my body. And I'll like rip shirts and jackets if I really want to. Contour the edges of my head. Just like you would with a bronzer, except I'm using red. I think it's looking cooler than I expected. It's almost giving that like cold girl look. You're open to all kinds of movies. I actually don't like watching movies. I I noticed that when I was really young, like movies tend to make me super, super stressed out. And so I didn't like watching them. And this was like forever. But I get really sweaty and like I'll have like straight up panic attacks and stuff. I'm gonna put some red around my mouth. And then we're gonna go back with the black in a minute. So when I got older and I couldn't even watch like, you know, like a lot of people like sitcoms, right? Like my sister and my mom used to watch Supernatural, you know, a lot of those movies that were popular or TV shows that were popular back then. I'm kind of smudging this around because I'm going to go over it in black to make the little like black lines. But I would have to leave a lot whenever those kind of shows were on because it would cause me so much anxiety and stress. And I never really, oops, I did way too dark there. I never really thought about it. I thought I just had, you know, it used to be a joke that I had a really bad sense of humor. And like I just didn't get things. And so when I got diagnosed with autism, it just kind of made a lot more sense why I get so uncomfortable with TV and movies. So now if I'm going to watch a movie, which isn't very common for me, I tend to look the movie up in advance and I just read the synopsis and then I don't get as stressed out. And I also will just, like, my sister knows now, so if we go out to a movie, sometimes I just leave. And I, like, will go to the bathroom or something so I can, like, relax and, like, breathe for a second. But I just don't really care for it. It adds more color. So a lot of the TV shows I like to watch tend to be, they're considered reality TV because it's more just like people telling ghost stories. And once I like a movie, I tend to be able to rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it. But it takes a while to get to that point for me. Like I can watch The Lord of the Rings a lot. But some of those I didn't get worried about because I'd already seen the books or I'd already read the books. So like they didn't stress me out because I already knew the story. But anyway, I am going to try to add some black powder and then I'm going to go through and draw the lines and then we're going to see what it looks like because I have no idea. And most of the black I'm just going to add right around the actual eyelash. And I probably should use the smaller brush. And then I'll just smoke it out a little bit or something instead of using eyeliner for this part. We'll see how it goes. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've done any of this stuff. And I'm gonna just kind of draw my eye up and bigger. I like to draw it up. And we'll just see. Do you feel odd playing a game? Actually, it depends on the game. But the game I don't feel as weird about because I think it's that sense of control you have because you're playing the character that sometimes, and I can't say this is true all the time, but sometimes I tend to have less stress. But that's actually why I haven't played the new Alan Wake game. Is I've kind of got a little bit of anxiety about it because I know the game is stressful. So like I love horror stuff, right? But I have to really research a lot of my horror stuff before I like watch or do anything. So a lot of the horror that I like, I tend to actually I'll get like on Wikipedia and I'll read the synopsis. And once you read it, it's like not scary anymore because it sounds like most horror movies sound stupid whenever you read the like plot by itself. You're like, wow, that isn't actually that scary. And then I can watch it or whatever if I feel like it, if it sounds good. And you can kind of do the same thing when it comes to movies and games. And I know it kind of like sucks the fun out of it for a lot of people, but for someone like me, I can kind of like project. And I have trauma too, so like some things I just can't watch anymore. Like I can't watch Law and Order at all. I thought I could. And the other day one of my grandparents was watching it a couple like months ago. And it like seriously like almost had me in a panic attack. I was like, I thought I wasn't that damaged, but apparently I am, so sucks for me. So some things I can't like enjoy, I guess. Also, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just doing it. I feel weird without wings. But I do like horror games a lot. I used to play them a lot in the past. I played a lot of them. I liked like the Silent Hill games a lot. Sometimes I get an actual paintbrush to do this stuff, but this time I'm not going to because I just don't have time. So I'm going to draw my nose piece, and then I'm going to draw my mouth, and I'm going to draw squiggles around my eyes, I guess, just to kind of make it as good as I want. She usually, I'm saying she, I'm talking about myself. I usually don't do it the way Jasmine does very well. I think Jasmine Bean's nose is more flat, so my nose is more pointed, and so it kind of makes it hard to match exactly what they do. And so I kind of have to just estimate where I want my line to go, and then I try to match it as best as I can. And then you draw your line around. This is hard for me because of the fact that I can't actually see very good. And then she goes below they. I need to remember. I want to say she because they're femme, but that's not fair. That's they. I'm just an idiot. And then it needs to taper and be thin. But I always mess this part up, so it is what it is. And then I have to do my mouth, which needs to go up slightly, but not too much. But I think I drew my shading too high. So, and I'm using eyeliner, which you're probably not supposed to do. But, you know, it is what it is. I know when Jasmine Bean does this, they do it so, like, fast and they make it look so easy and stuff. And I'm, like, over here, like, struggling. And I can never make my lines look as thin. So they must have, like, a really... Let me see if I have my thinner eyeshadow. I don't know if I do. I might have just straight up died. It doesn't look like I do. I think it's this one. But they're able to get, like, super thin lines, and I don't have a super thin paintbrush. And this is, like, the thinnest one I have, and it's probably gonna not be thin enough. And I like to just see it's, like, also not... It's just not drawing on there very strongly, which sucks because it means I have to go back over it in the other color. So this is gonna probably be an unpublished look. Maybe I'll take pictures of it, but I don't think I like it. Which sucks, because it means I could have done other things, I guess. Were you the one that was asking me about autism stuff the other day? I can't remember. Somebody on my Instagram was asking me about autism stuff, and I can't remember who. And they were just wondering, I guess, if they were autistic or something like that. Which obviously, like, you kind of have to... You gotta do a ton of research. I know whenever my mom told me, I wound up having to do like a ton of research. Yeah, I don't like how this looks. I kind of like, I'm disappointed in myself. That's pretty normal though. I just want to just draw on my face a lot more. It's hard to get off my face later too. Oh, it was you? How do I stem? My favorite stem's probably listening to really crazy music and really loud. And I do rock, which is like the stereotypical one, right? I'm literally just scribbling at this point. Yeah, but I do rock. I like to do that. I noticed that I've been snapping a lot. I just snap my fingers like when I'm walking around. Sometimes I knock on my head, but I've told everybody that knows me if they see me doing that they need to get me to stop because that one actually physically hurts me. See, I almost wonder if I shouldn't draw the line and then I just scribble. Because I think the line ruins it to me. Because it looks better around my lips. Where I just, like this. And that part didn't connect very well. So I'm just going to keep doing it. And then I'm going to do it, like, at my eyes, too. I think everybody has stems that they prefer. I twist my hair a lot. That's a stem. A lot of people, I think they don't realize that they're stimming when they're stimming, because a lot of things that you do, like shaking your leg and everything, that's all stems as well. And they're just like normalized versions. Like twisting your hair is like a normalized stem. Spinning in circles and stuff is not a normalized stem. So you probably stem more than you think you do without knowing it, but it definitely helps regulate yourself. So I notice that like I start snapping when I get really stressed out, and I will like if I'm really excited or something, I might start doing this a lot. I don't tend to spin in circles because I get dizzy really easy. Gee, I just wish I could get this part to look more, I don't know, I guess I could just smudge it. This actually is really hard to get off because it's eyeliner and it's waterproof eyeliner, but I'm gonna keep doing it anyway, and then I might add powder or something, I don't know. I think I made that side so thick that I need to make the other side thicker. But I've definitely noticed that like after I was diagnosed, a lot of my other problems started to, I won't say go away, but they became more manageable because I understood what was happening. So I wasn't beating myself up as much about stuff. I'm just gonna keep trying. I really prefer headphones at work. I make random noises with my mouth. Yeah, I notice I do that too. I have a tendency to be repetitive about certain sounds that I like. So I will make the same noise over and over again, especially if I hear a song that I like. I'll just repeat the same phrase a lot. I think that's called like echolocalia or something like that. But stimming is pretty normal. So a lot of people might stim, but they're not autistic. ADHD, people with ADHD and stuff tend to stim. One of the biggest things with any kind of thing like that is we're sensory seeking and we're trying to regulate ourselves by like seeking that sensation. And like I said, everyone's a little different. It just depends on what sensations your body prefers. And I notice that sometimes I have like little tics, which again isn't just something that people with like Tourette's or something might have. Mine, I think, come from my neurological problem. So sometimes I'll just start twitching. I don't have any tics that make me say anything, so I know I don't have Tourette's necessarily. But I will start twitching, and so people at work will see me doing this kind of stuff a lot because I just can't, like my body just starts twitching. I don't know. It's just what it does. I'm kind of just blending it because I want to get the straight line out, which is kind of making it worse. So like I said, this isn't getting posted. I actually like how the lips turned out though, so this is something that I'm going to probably practice to make the lip part work. Because I like that part. I just don't like how the rest of it turned out. And if I had time, I would probably wipe it, but it's already 4:12, so I don't have time to do that. Otherwise, I would probably wipe it and try to do something different. So this is just what it's going to be this time. So I won't post any pictures or anything because I just don't like it that much. I'm going to grab this though. See, it turned out way too dark because I started trying to smudge it and I smudged it too much and then I drew too much. And the eyes kind of did the same thing. Which, I mean, with a crappy camera, it doesn't look too bad, but realistically, it should look better than this. And I could just, I'm kind of one of these people that just does this kind of thing because I just, like I said, I'm just practicing. It almost looks like I have, I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. Anyway, the lips turned out cool though. I should just take pictures of just the lips. Maybe I'll leave the lip makeup alone and then I'll just take pictures of just the lip part. But I'm going to start wiping it off just because. Thanks. I don't really, I guess I can just, let's see what it looks like. I can't see that well. So like in the things, it doesn't look that bad, but it's also like, because I can't fucking see because I'm blind. It looks cooler in this. But I can't take pictures of my computer screen. I don't know. I'm not good at taking pictures, you guys. I actually am not. But yeah. So when I thought I was autistic was because my mom made a joke one day when I was picking up my kid from her house and I didn't get it. And she like made a joke about, I don't even remember what her original joke was about, but when I told her, I was like, Mom, I don't understand jokes. And she's like, yeah, I know. This is actually coming off really well because this is supposed to be waterproof and this is not a makeup wipe. But she was like, yeah, I know. You're autistic. I should know that you don't always understand jokes. And like, keep in mind, I was like 28 or something like that, like late 20s. And I remember I like looked at her and I was like, what are you talking about? Because my mom was a preschool teacher. So like they get like trained on how to spot autistic kids because you want to try to spot them as early as possible so we can get accommodations and everything in school so it's not so freaking hard on us. And I was like, what are you talking about, Mom? Like, I'm not autistic. I'm just weird. And she was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're autistic and that's why you've been like this. And she's like, I just didn't really think it was that big of a deal. So I just never told you because you were doing so well in school. I just didn't really think it mattered. And keep in mind, like I was like a straight A student and I was like honor roll, all that kind of stuff, right? But I also was like in and out of the counselor's office because I always wanted to, end game myself and stuff like that too. So it wasn't like I was doing well. I just was doing well in school, not in life. So I kind of wish I'd known. But I'm considered low needs level. So like back in the day, they would have said that I was I had Asperger's, but they don't grade things like that anymore. And I think most doctors grade us by needs levels. So it's like how much extra assistance you need in order to like function, or I wouldn't even say function, but I guess survive. So like I'm a level 1 autistic, which is what Asperger's used to be, and that means that I have the lowest needs level. So it means that I'm able to accomplish most stuff without extra help, but it doesn't mean that I don't need help. I just need the least amount of help. I need more wet wipes because this is not all coming off with the 2 that I got. But yeah, so I need the least amount of help in comparison to other people. And like people with level 2 autism need more help, but they still might be able to function mostly alone. And then people with level 3 autism are the more severe needs level help, you know. But we're all on the same spectrum. So I might have similar traits or triggers that might be similar to someone with a higher needs level than me. Yes. So some people don't like the term high functioning autism because it kind of discounts the fact that we do have needs. But yes, I get called high functioning a lot because I have a very intensive job that requires a lot of care. You know, I have a family, I can pay my own bills, but I also will sometimes shut down and cry because I can't, you know, eat something that I want that night, or something doesn't go my way, or I get surprised by something, or, you know, just random stuff. I could just lose it because things are too loud. I'll get really frustrated about stuff like that. So no, yes, I'm high functioning, but I still have accommodations that I need to make. But now that I figured out that I'm autistic, I kind of know, and so I'm able to kind of predict things that are going to set me off, so I can kind of anticipate them and be prepared for it, which helps a lot. I also stopped masking as much, so I don't try to appear normal, or I should say neurotypical, since I don't really think there is a normal. But I try to not be as set in trying to fit in, which is really hard to do because you're trained your whole life. And I know they say that it's harder to spot in women specifically because we're trained especially to hide our emotions and everything, so it doesn't show up as easily because we're used to masking from a young age just to be a woman, let alone also hiding everything else. I wrote down some things. Yeah, you can. I took a lot of the online tests, and all of those I tested really high on the spectrum, and that's when I went and I found a specialist in my area who specialized with adults in autism. And so then she tested me again, and she had a master's degree and that kind of thing, and she did therapy and stuff too. And so we worked out some of my bigger issues and kind of worked on having like a plan in place. And I haven't seen a therapist in a really long time. She had to drop me as a client, not because I was a problem, but because she specialized in autism and she specialized in transgender care. And she had a lot of, because we live in a red state, she had a lot of patients that really needed care for that. And I told her that I'd be willing to get dropped because I was in a mental state that I felt pretty confident that I would be okay. But she did give me her number, so if I ever need her, I can message her. Now my kid is getting tested for autism and is going through like a different set of things with a different doctor, like through a more formal process because of the pediatrics thing that he's got to do. And that one's a little frustrating because so far he has tested on the possible spectrum whenever the doctor has tested him, but all of the questionnaires that like me and my mom who watches him when we're at work have filled out, he's tested as being high functioning or level 1 autism. But so we're kind of just treating him like that and then trying to just keep on getting him tested because they basically said, the doctor said that they just didn't see some of it happening. But like some of the stuff that happens isn't going to happen at a doctor's office. Like you're not going to see my kid freak out over his shoes or his pants or his socks because I already got rid of all the things that he doesn't like. And you're not going to see him throw up whenever he can't eat a texture because I'm not going to force him to eat something in front of you that's going to make him sick. Like it just seems like they want me to torture him in front of them so that they can see him have bad reactions. So I just have to wait until he acts up in school and then the teacher turns in that he's having bad reactions, I guess, which is still frustrating because it's not fair that they have to wait. But I made it through school. It was mostly hard because you always kind of feel like you're not right, like there's something wrong with you I know growing up, I never felt like I was a human, and I still say that now. I kind of joke online about it a lot, that I'm more of a cryptid. But growing up, I know the person that I like felt the most connection to was, if you've seen Men in Black, the original Men in Black, and there's that alien that comes down and kills that farmer, and then he wears his skin as a human suit so that he can go around and he says stuff like sugar and stuff. You know who I'm talking about? Maybe. Anyway, I always associated with that bug alien in the farmer suit. Yeah. Yeah, that one. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the bug's name right now, or the farmer's name right now. But I always associated myself with that bug because that's how it felt growing up. And I used to say that a lot too, because you know how like in those scenes, like the bug's trying to act like a human, but their body's just like not moving right. So everybody knows there's something wrong with them, but they don't quite know what it is. That's what it was like for me growing up. And I used to always joke about it because I just thought that was a normal thing for people to feel. Edgar, yeah, you're right. Um, oh, hey, Ryan. But yeah, I used to always think that I felt like him, and apparently that's not a super normal thing for like the average person to feel like they're not quite human, or like you almost feel like you're a changeling, like you're something else, but then you were just left with humans and you're trying to figure out how to human, but you're not quite doing it right. And so I remember spending a lot of time practicing scripts of things in my head, or looking in the mirror to watch my facial expression. And my dad and I both really like theater, and I think that helped me a lot because I always said, and I used to say this when I worked at GameStop, was when I walked in the door, I was like performing on a stage. So I wasn't being Momo like me, I was being Momo the salesperson. And so it was like being a fake person all day, which really sucks because think about how much energy it is to do a performance, like if you've ever done a play or anything. And then think about having to do that for 8+ hours a day so that you can interact with other people. And then you realize why so many lower needs level, like high functioning autistic people, that's why we tend to burn out, especially when we get to around this age in our 20s and 30s, because we've spent so long masking and trying to pretend that we're normal, neurotypical people, that we wind up crashing because we used up all of our mental energy. It's also why we tend to be super high level like achievers at a young age, and then we lose it when we get older because we used it all and we lost that energy, and it's hard to get back. And not masking when you've masked for so many years is really, really hard. And I feel like I've lost a lot of friends that I thought I was close to because I don't force myself to fit in with them as much as I used to. And then I also have other friends that don't care, and like my relationship with them never changed. So it just kind of depends on the person. Yeah, performing at work is really hard. And there's like always an extent, especially when you're in sales, where you kind of have to put on an act and like pretend. But when you're doing that, not just when you're at work, but you're having to do it all day in front of everybody, even your own family, to try to fit in. Like my sister's neurotypical. And so I had to an extent, pretend to fit in with even my own sister. And I used to joke about that because a lot of times I wouldn't know what to do. And so I just always trusted my sisters. Whatever my sister would do would be the best thing to do. So like if I didn't know what to eat, because deciding what to eat is hard, especially for like autistic and neurodivergent people, I wouldn't make a decision. I'd just be like, well, what's something that my sister really likes that she would eat, because my sister makes good normal choices. And so then I would just pick whatever my sister would want. And I think that a lot. Like, I don't know how to make this decision, so what would my sister do in this situation? And I would just do whatever she did. But that's not what I would want to do. It was just something that I thought my sister would do. And since my sister was normal and people liked her, I just assumed that if I did the same thing as my sister, that it would be the right thing to do. And that came from not having a lot of friends growing up, except for the ones that my sister had, because my sister was at least nice enough to like let me hang out. I would hype myself up for a job interview with music. Then turn into a stone the second I leave. Now, I understand that too. I think I tend to overtalk whenever I get really nervous, and I tend to ramble, which you guys have seen. And so that's, I think, my bigger problem is I info dump, especially when I start getting excited about something. I just like can't stop talking about it. And but that's just a problem that, you know, neurodivergent people can have too. And regular people can as well. I mean, it's kind of easy to kind of just start rambling about stuff you like. But yeah, so after I got diagnosed, I feel like my life did get a lot better because I'd been diagnosed with bipolar, OCD, generalized anxiety disorder, and I was getting tested for borderline personality disorder. And all of those things tend to get diagnosed separately before the person will realize that it's likely an autism diagnosis, because the traits, I don't really call them symptoms, I tend to call them traits. I think symptoms has a more negative connotation, but a lot of the traits for those things tend to overlap. So the depression tends to come from being burnt out and over masking. And obviously, people with autism are very particular about sensory things, which is where the OCD comes in. We have sensory stuff, and then we also need things in a certain way for us to be able to maintain a balance. And then an anxiety disorder as well, because that's kind of part of the sensory issue, and then part of just being able to maintain your baseline. It gets really, really hard sometimes to do. I'm getting better at it. But like, I know I don't really like big groups. I don't like hanging out with large groups of people. I like going to concerts, but I like them to be in a certain way, and I'll only go to certain venues, or I have to go with certain people so I can feel safe. Same thing with like going out in public and eating at restaurants. I know now I need to just look at the menu and everything beforehand and have a really strict itinerary of what I'm expecting, because anything that hiccups will start making me super anxious. But anyway, so I think once I got diagnosed, I got better. I haven't had a lot of the bad depression that I used to have. And a lot of my anxiety and stuff has gone down just because I'm planning further ahead based off of what I know about what things tend to set me off, what things I can't really handle. And it's just made my life a lot easier. So I'm glad that my mom eventually told me. And I know she feels really bad for not telling me earlier, but I told her, like, well, you never know. Like, if I'd gotten diagnosed earlier, there's certain things when you get an official autism diagnosis that you can't do. And it depends on your country too. But like, I know in Australia, I think you can adopt kids if you're autistic. And certain countries won't let you immigrate there if you have an official autism diagnosis, because they consider you handicapped, and they don't want you. And I've heard some places don't even really want you to have children if you have an autism diagnosis, because they don't want more autistic children, which isn't fair, because you know, we need higher needs, but like, everybody in the world needs some kind of needs and assistance. So it's not really fair to just discount us. And autistic people tend to be really good at the specialized things that they do, even if we're not all savants. Like, there's stuff that we're just really passionate about, which is usually special interest stuff, but it makes us really good at certain types of jobs that we usually get discounted for because people in the workplace don't want to accommodate you. But like, my work is kind of trying to accommodate me, and I'm able to complete a lot of stuff because I'm really good at data analytics and I'm really good at crunching numbers, even though I hate math. So it's just one of those things where you have to kind of just find a balance for it. Not looking people in the eye has helped me significantly, actually. So like, even having the camera off is kind of helping me a little bit because I don't feel like so stressed out. But anyway, that was just kind of a rant about that. I know I have to go pick up my kid, but if you have any other last minute questions, I can answer them. The makeup didn't turn out, obviously, so I took it off. My face looks a little gray right now because I don't have all the wet wipes I need to get it off, so I look kind of insane. And I have a ton of the black still stuck in my nose. So I have to get that off before my mom sees it, and she's going to be like, you look crazy. But I did my best, and I tried, and that's all I can say that I did. And I'm probably going to fix my nails tonight because they're really long, and I need to cut them. But I like having long nails because they tippy tap. It looked horrible, Emmy. You can scroll back because I'll leave this up whenever I'm looking for my glasses. I'll leave this up whenever I'm off. So if you want to scroll back, you can see it. But I messed it up, and since I didn't have time to fix it, I just scribbled all over my face and then I wiped it all off. So you literally missed nothing. I wouldn't say that they let me sing at work. I do it anyway. So I listen to my earbud. I do have permission to listen to music at work. So if I'm on the floor, I work in a production facility. If I'm on the floor, I usually have an earbud in and I just sing as I walk around. And most people just ignore me at this point. If I'm in my office, I usually have my laptop up. And then I will be singing in my office, but I have like a door that I keep shut. So I usually also know if we have like guests over, like CEOs or something, I tend not do it as much if I see them like nearby, so that way I don't disturb anybody if they have meetings or something going on. But yeah, they do. A lot of people say that I sound okay, but they always ask me if I'm going to do karaoke or whatever. And there's like a difference between just singing and like not caring if you sound shitty as you like walk around and you sing versus like having to perform. And a lot of people don't see the difference in that, but I do. Maybe that's an autism thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a perfectionist thing. But like if I'm going to perform for people, I want it to be perfect. If I'm just walking around singing because I have my earbud in, I don't care what I sound like. But yeah, they're pretty chill with it. I do have to watch some of the music that I listen to when I'm in my office because a lot of my music has like kind of, you know, inappropriate things in it. Not just like sexual things, but like obviously I listen to a lot of metal and like you can't really listen to Infant Annihilator and like people just hear that at work. But they're pretty lenient when it comes to music, which is good. That helps me a lot. I'm one of those people that has to have like music. I can listen to music, a podcast, and be working on something like simultaneously and be talking. I can't stand it when it's too quiet. It causes me a lot of anxiety. And that's one thing that I've learned, that I have to have, like I could have a radio going on in every room playing different things, but like my brain can't be quiet because if my brain goes quiet, it gets really bad. So the more stuff I can have like sound wise, the better, but it has to be sound I control, because if it's just like random horrible sounds, I don't want it. I don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? But anyway, everybody has their own thing, you know. I'm a fidgeter a lot. I tend to fidget with stuff. So like when I'm talking, I usually keep stuff in my lap that I can like mess with. Not today because I was doing makeup, even though I messed it up. My bad. Yeah, I do the same thing. Like at work, I'll have my PC running like YouTube music or whatever, or a podcast, and then sometimes I'll have an earbud in that's playing a different song than what's on my computer, and then I'm like doing data like super fast. And if I'm really stressed out, then I'll chew gum. And if I'm by myself, I'll chew it like the annoying way where you're like, because I want the like, I don't know, I guess there's more of a like texture to it. I don't know. So like the more sound I can make, the better when it's controlled. But I know that drives a lot of people crazy. So I'm kind of glad I have my own office with nobody else in it right now, because I think that I would probably make people mad if I was by myself, or if I wasn't by myself and they were in there with me, because I can't just not be like that. Yeah, the gum thing annoys Brandon because sometimes I forget that he's with me and I'll start doing it in the car and he'll give me a dirty look. But I try not to do it because I know that it's annoying. But sometimes when I'm really stressed out, I have to chew it as loud as possible, and it's annoying. It's annoying to me, but it just feels better. Gum's a really good stim. That's like an acceptable stim. Gum is, and this, I do this a lot when I walk around at work. Sometimes I'll do it up. I don't like to do it up because people notice, so I try to do it down on my side because people don't notice as much. But for some reason, when I'm really stressed out, I do it by my face. I don't know if it's because of the visual aspect, like I can see it. But then, you know, I'm going kind of like super weird. But anyway, yeah, I can talk more about it later because, like I said, I gotta go get my kid. But anyway, yeah, finger stuff is good. And I also figured that I think I'm hypermobile, which could explain some of my pain problems, because I guess like with my hands, I've always been able to like bend my thumbs back. This isn't like the best. I can usually bend it pretty far. And I guess you're not supposed to be able to touch your pinky to like the side of your wrist very easily, which has always been normal for me. And I also have the extra ability to do this joint on the top of my hands, which I guess people can't do. And I've always thought this was easy, like when people would do this and you were able to do like this thing, which I can't do now because I have a hair thing here. But I've always been able to do that too. And I sit weird and everything, which hypermobility is a sign of autism as well, if you have other traits. But anyway, we have to watch my kid because apparently he is hypermobile, and we have to be careful because when you're hypermobile, you have a more likelihood to dislocate and have issues with your ligaments, which is probably why I have so much pain in my joints. Anyway, that's all. Get tested. I would get tested because hypermobility, in addition to autism, it's also a sign of other things. And even if it's not, and you just have the hypermobility, you need to be careful because of, like I said, your ligaments and your ability to hyperextend and twist things a lot more. So if you have a tendency to like sprain your ankle, my knees tend to almost always be overextended, and it's more likely to make you pass out. So anyway, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you're worried about it. And it could be that you're not quite fully hypermobile. Like I think I'm probably like right on the edge, but enough that I probably need to like keep an eye on it. Because I know that, like I said, I have a lot of pain, especially in my legs and my hips and my back. Yeah, mine too. Mine they originally thought was something called Osgood Slaughters, which has something to do with your patellas and like fluid buildup, but it never went away and it started spreading. So then they thought it was fibro, and then it wasn't really matching fibro, which is why they think it's probably some kind of tissue, or it could be a nerve problem, because a lot of autism is actually like neurons and nerves and stuff. And I think they say autistic people have more, which is why we're probably more sensitive to things because we have more sensory receptors. And mine don't work right because I have nerve damage somehow. So like the other day I was trying to give my kid a bath and like the water felt ice cold to me, but he said it was warm. So I just believed him. I don't know if that was true, but he said it was fine. And so he got in the bath, but I couldn't feel it at all. So sometimes it's the same thing when I brush my hair. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a brush. It feels like painful, like sharp, even though like I have the bristles that are like capped. So it shouldn't feel sharp, but it feels like I'm cutting my scalp. So like I just have to be aware. And it's kind of like diabetics get neuropathy too. And I have the same tendency as diabetics that when I'm outside, I can overheat, but I don't know that I'm overheating because I don't feel anything because my nerves aren't telling me that I'm overheating. And I don't sweat as much as a normal person either. So I don't know. So I'm going to a cardiology appointment next week on Wednesday, I think, or a preliminary talk to. And yeah, so that's going to be super exciting for me, and I'm really excited for it because I love going to the doctor. Yeah. But anyway, that's all. I really have to go. It's like I'm 10 minutes late, but that's okay. And I will talk to you guys later. I'll leave this up, Emmy, so you can scroll back and see my horrible makeup. It's okay. I had another one that I left up like that too. I'll let you guys know. I'll probably stream it sometime next week. And I know I'm squinting a lot. It's because I don't have glasses, so I can't see. And when I do this, it's because I have to put my face on the screen. I'm so blind. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming. It always makes it more exciting to have somebody to talk to. And let me know what days are best for you guys. After work, I get out of work around 2 to 2:30 Central Standard Time, USA. So I usually have from there to around 8 that I'm home, but I only really have time to stream a little bit within that time because I pick my kid up at 4:30ish. And sometimes I probably can't on the weekend because B can keep the others distracted and I can stream upstairs or in here or something. So Saturdays and Sundays I probably have more time to stream. And I really regret not streaming my D&D sessions, but I hadn't figured everything out yet. And if you guys know a good camera that's not too expensive that I can switch from my little, what is this? It's just like a cheap little webcam that I have. Message me because I'm looking for one because I don't want my quality to be this low. But anyway, that's all for real. So I'm going to leave now. Bye.